Hey everybody, it is June 29th, 2007. I am Sonic Sons, and I've just seen the movie SiCKO. 4 stars, Mr. Moore. 4 out of 4 possible stars. This is this movie from Michael Moore, in case you didn't know, about the American healthcare system. Apparently, we have a really messed up healthcare system. It's incredible how many things, not just in healthcare, can be so obvious, and yet nobody realizes it. You know? Things which ought to be common knowledge aren't. I did not realize. And I consider myself a pretty well-informed person. I watch the news and such, right? I did not realize that every other modern Western country, right? So that's like Canada and practically all of Europe and all of them have free universal health care. All of them? I had thought this was a thing only the Canadians did. I consider myself pretty well informed, but apparently not. I had thought that every other country, aside from Canada, had the same system we Americans have, where you have to get your health insurance from a for-profit company. And there's all sorts of hassles in getting your care. Apparently not. It's amazing. This movie's amazing. At first it shows all these disasters happen in America, right? Guy working with a saw accidentally chops off bits of his finger, right? And it's going to cost him a total of $72,000 to reattach the top 2 bits of his fingers. You know, you can do this one for $60,000 and this one for $12,000, so he goes just for that one for the $12,000 because he doesn't have health insurance. And you know, he doesn't get the rest of his finger back. Or take other people, people who have health insurance. There's one woman who had something, and they denied her claim because they said it was not life-threatening. She died. Michael Moore went and interviewed her, and then before they finished making the movie, she died of her non-life-threatening claim. In 1996, there was a doctor who went before like a congressional committee of some kind, and she said, "I'd like to confess that I killed a man. That is, he needed a treatment for $500,000, and I denied that treatment, and he died because of it. And no one has held me accountable for this. And as a matter of fact, I've been promoted." You know, when Marx was talking about the dark side of capitalism, this is exactly what he was thinking of. Now, I like capitalism in general. I certainly like people's freedom to choose things and make their own businesses and stuff regardless of what the government thinks, right? But I don't like the idea of these drug companies basically sucking the lifeblood out of people. You're sick? Screw you! You know, we don't want to pay anything. We want to make as much money as possible. The doctors who refuse the greatest number of patients get a bonus. It'd be one thing if it was like this everywhere. It's like, well, you know, this is the way healthcare works. No, it's like this only here. People in Cuba live longer than people in America. Cuba is a pretty poor country in comparison to the flipping U.S. of A. Okay? pretty flipping poor, and they take care of their people better than we do. Now, I'm sure there's all sorts of other reasons why you wouldn't want to live in Canada, but at least on this healthcare thing, they manage that. Like, wow. Flipping Cuba. It is many times cheaper to there's a guy who was originally from France. He came and lived in America for 13 years, got a tumor, right? He found out that it was cheaper to fly back to France and get the free healthcare there than to get healthcare in the US. And he'd been working in the US. He was like, I don't know if he had coverage, actually. But nevertheless, as a productive member of society, you think he would get some sort of something. No. No. There's you talked to a lot of people in France that are originally Americans. They're now living in France. That's how much better it is. How there's like a mandated, like every company has to give you 5 weeks paid vacation per year. By law, that's the minimum. Wow. And they have like government provided childcare services. They, someone will come in and do your laundry. Sometimes, anyway. Wow. I look at all these other countries. He goes to Canada, Britain, France, and Cuba. So, granted, maybe in Italy, healthcare doesn't work. But at least in these countries, he goes to all these countries, and there's so many things better about them. Free healthcare, and oftentimes like free college education, and free all these things that they consider like basic human rights. I start asking myself, okay, so what's bad about all these countries? There's got to be a dark side. There's got to be, maybe in the case of Cuba. I mean, I've certainly heard some nasty things about Castro. Not exactly a full-fledged democracy over there. But what's bad? Surely we can't be like the worst Western modern country, right? Surely, they seem to care for their citizens. Wow, and the citizens seem to care about getting care. They do protests more often than we do. They speak out more often than we do. We become apathetic towards politics. We become so cynical. Well, the cynicism, I guess, to a point, makes sense, because when bad things are happening, then you go, wow, bad things are happening, and you can call that cynicism. But then there's the cynicism mixed with apathy. Now that's a deadly mix. When you get bad things are happening, and I'm going to sit here and do nothing about it. After when I'm trying to do something about it by just making these videos. They're not all political, of course, but, I hope to bring a little bit of rational conversation into the world. There doesn't seem to be a lot of rational conversation. There was some guy, I forget his name, was a congressman, a senator, in this movie, who fought against universal health care, right? And I doubt he had real, serious, logical conversations. They all seem to come down to, I love my mother. Don't you love your mother? Well, yes. Well, then how could you possibly support universal health care? And then that guy quits Congress after he defeats universal health care, quits Congress, and then signs up as a CEO of a healthcare industry. I forgot what business it was, but he's getting paid $2 million a year now, or at least he was. I don't know what he's doing now. Nevertheless, he works in, gets some law passed, gets back out. This is backdoor bribery, is what it is. We found more creative ways to bribe people. I respect the ability of, people and corporations even to put their money into political campaigns that they support, but it'd be nice if said corporations were attempting to act in the interests of the American people at large.